Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Jason Lord with Jason Lord Photography and Films, bringing you art stories and entertainment. First things first, Happy New Year's to everybody. It's 2019. Hope everybody had a great holiday season with their friends and family. Now that that's over with, yeah, it's 2019. Lots to do and lots to see. And speaking of seeing, I went and saw my first movie of 2019, and that's the new Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, a lot of people are thinking that okay, it's an animated movie, so it's probably just for kids. But surprisingly, it's pretty. It's still a pretty cool movie to watch. It's a really entertaining movie to watch, and it's got a really good storyline to it, to where it's like just holy cow, this is actually pretty good. You know, I know like a lot of people aren't Spider-Man fans, let alone even know anything about Spider-Man, but I can assure that a lot of people have heard of Spider-Man. And this was a movie that's not a reboot or a remake like the past few Spider-Man movies that were remade and rebooted. The only thing I can say that this movie has in common with the past few Spider-Man movies, that like there's a change in the people that are playing Spider-Man, but also in this one there's a change in who Spider-Man is. So we always known Spider-Man to be Peter Parker, but in this one he is actually gone, like literally gone. And so now we turn our attention to the new Spider-Man, or the new hero of the story, which is Miles Morales. And he's a teenager that's going through struggles in life and trying to figure out who he is. And he too gets bitten by a radioactive spider. And before he could turn before he can turn to Peter Parker for help, because now his whole world is just turned upside down, like literally like a spider. And so he's given this new power, this new gift, and he has no idea how to use it. So before he can turn to Peter Parker for help, he ended up getting killed trying to save the city from the Kingpin, who was trying to open up a portal to another dimension, or in this case to another universe. And you'll learn later on why Kingpin did what he did. But for now, all we know is that in order to stop the Kingpin, Spider-Man um, ended up risking his own life to save everyone, and he ended up dying. So now it comes down to Miles to take up on the mantle as the new Spider-Man and to save the day. But the only problem is that he just doesn't know how to do it. And before all hope is lost, he bumps into an unexpected character, and that's Peter Parker. And you come to learn that he's actually not the Peter Parker that we known earlier, but apparently a Peter Parker from a different universe. And then, to a big surprise, there's actually more Spider-Man that shows up in the movie, and it all had to do with Kingpin opening the portal to the different universes. And before Spider-Man can destroy it, five other Spider-Man from five different universes ended up getting sucked into the portal from their dimensions or their universes and into Miles's universe. So now, so now you are introduced to these five different Spider-Man who apparently had their own comic book series, because nowadays there's a lot of artists out there that create their own versions of like many superheroes. So Spider-Man is one of them. And so going through like the five different Spider-Man, you have Peter B. Parker, who is somewhat of a loser from his dimension. And so he's going through a lot of struggles himself, and he's not the Spider-Man we all know to love, but definitely he's got some issues to deal with. And then you have Spider Gwen, who is an inspiration from the Amazing Spider-Man movie with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, who Emma Stone played Gwen Stacy, and so uh, she's a really cool character in there too. She kicks a lot of butt, and I know like a lot of people are gonna be like, just holy cow, she's pretty cool. But anyways, next is Spider-Man Noir. This is going back to the hard-boiled detective days of just the black and whites and just solving mysteries and crimes, and that's exactly what this Spider-Man is. He's basically straight off of the hard-boiled detective movies, so that's pretty cool. I like that. And then you got SpiderHam, which I have never heard of this character. Apparently, he's had his own comic book series, but just I don't know. I never heard of it, but I can bet you this: like a lot of people hasn't heard of him either, and for those of him like me who hasn't heard of him, might be doing a lot of research on finding out who the heck this guy is. But picture Porky Pig from Looney Tunes. Porky Pig in a Spider-Man outfit, and you got Spider Ham, and he's actually pretty funny. He's kind of like the comic relief of the movie, and in fact, a lot of them are comic reliefs, but then he's the one that pretty much wins it all. And then last is Penny Parker, who's this Japanese girl who fights crime with her robot, who is somewhat like a spider. So haven't heard of her before either, but like Spider Ham, it's like we're all gonna be googling him up and, or no, googling her up and seeing what she's all about. So yeah, you have a wonderful team of Spider-Man now who also helps Miles to control his powers and become the next Spider-Man. And also, it's now coming down to Miles, who can help all of them get back into their own universe. Because if they stay in his universe too much, it's like they could get torn apart by just being in the wrong dimension or wrong universe. So that's pretty much an idea of like what the story is about. I won't give out too much away to where it's gonna give away the whole movie, but I can say that other than the story, the animation is very beautiful. I mean, it's like an artwork coming to life. In fact, if you look at it closely, like a lot of the textures and a lot of the coloring are pretty much like what you would see off of a comic book. Like, like when you look at the comic books, like the classic comic books where like a lot of the characters, you can see like little dots on their faces and in the background, like that's a comic book look. And as like all the characters are moving, talking and fighting, it's like you get like a comic book feel to it, and it's really fun. It's a really fun movie to watch. And with that animated style, it's like, again, if you're a comic book fan or a Spider-Man fan, it's like, it's nostalgia. Basically, it's like, holy cow, the comic books I've been reading, it's all coming to life and they're kicking a lot of ass right now. And so, yeah, definitely love that animation style. It's very original. I mean, to me anyways, because it's like a lot of comic book movies are all just live action movies and you don't see much of the animated versions of it. um yeah, so animation is very good, story is very good. um like I said, this is not a movie that you take seriously. It's supposed to be a fun movie to watch. A lot of good action in there too, and it's something that you can enjoy by yourself or with your kids or with a date. But Yeah, it's one movie that you don't want to take too seriously. Otherwise, you're not going to have a good time. And, you know, I mean, honestly, that's what movies are about, is having a good time. And, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse has all of that. And, it does get pretty sad in there too, because there are multiple deaths, and you come to just realize just how serious it could get, other than being like a fun movie to watch. But there is a good lesson to be learned, a moral to the story, and that's all about finding who you are. And also, there's a little message in there too about how there's a hero in all of us, and we're not alone. And that's where all the other Spider-Man come into play, because they all talk about how they've all been through the same suffering and the same losses, because each and every one of them has lost someone precious to them, but they learn to continue to fight on and not run away from uh, like their problems or their failures. And so I think that's a message to every one of us too. It's like we've all lost someone we loved, and we've all had our sufferings, but we gotta keep fighting on. Because like Mary Jane said in the movie when Peter Parker died, was that in a sense, there's a Spider-Man in all of us. There's a hero in all of us, and we all have to keep on fighting. And so, um, yeah, so pretty much, as far as the movie goes, definitely a good watch. Great story, great animation, and great, just great story. I mean, like I said, whether you're a fan of Spider-Man or not, it's definitely a good watch. And who knows if there's gonna be a sequel? It's got a, well, not exactly a cliffhanger, but like definitely, um, was it like a opportunity for a sequel? And I hope there is a sequel too, because it really is a great movie to watch, and definitely worth watching it from beginning to the end. And it's like about a 2 hour movie as well. So brace yourself. I mean, nowadays that's like the norm right now too, is that a lot of movies are like 2 hours long, or sometimes even 3 hours long. But I can honestly say it's definitely worth sitting through for 2 hours to watch. So yeah, check it out. It's only been like a month since it came out. It came out in 2000 or December 2018. It's now January 2019, so still fairly a month in the theaters. So if you guys get a chance, definitely check it out. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Until next time, this is Jason Lore with Jason Lore Photography and Films, bringing you art, stories, and entertainment.